All right. Hi, everyone, and good morning. My name is Lynn Chomitz, and I am the New Business Development Director for Classic Vacations. And this is our Learning Lounge event, part 2 of our 4-part series for growing your business with Master Connection Associates. But first up, I wanted to share just a couple of updates with you. So we do have a new product that we have launched with Vrbo. So if you are familiar with Vrbo and all of our hotels and our preferred partners is one thing, but now a lot of people are looking to switch over to our vacations and staying at long stays. So part of Vrbo is our Expedia partner. And so they are able to use Classic to process the bookings and to process your commission, but everything else is done through our Vrbo partners. So we do encourage you to take a look on our website under vacation rentals. And as a follow-up to today's registration, we will also send you a link for frequently asked questions and a quick fact sheet to get through that as well. So the next slide, just wanted to share is the Learning Lounge. We do record each of the sessions, and we've been hosting these since March. So take a look at past recordings, and you'd be able to learn a lot and meet a lot of our presenters. So that is classicvacations.com/learning lounge, which is also part of our No Zone events section. And so again, we've got things scheduled all the way through into October and November. And in August, we are doing something new as well, talking a full hour about trip protection, doing Q&A, panel discussion about insurance, coverage, commission protection, how to overcome the answer no when people don't want insurance. And then we're also going to be having a conversation we just added with Keir Matthews, one of our directors of sales, to talk about the Black experience in the travel industry. So I'm really looking forward to that topic and that conversation as well. And then we'll get back into some of our other presenters talking about social media with our social media manager, Lauren. And then at the end of August, we'll be talking more about our going back to Emily, who talks about your website and best ways to market your brand and your business and be more engaging and conversational online. So we've got more coming up through August, and of course the whole schedule continues, so I encourage you to attend every week. Save the date on your calendar. And with that, Cindy, welcome back to you and your team. We had some fantastic reviews calling you engaging, thought-provoking, inspiring, re-inspiring. You know, someone even said it's the kick in the butt that they needed to kind of get back into focusing on selling and finding new clients. So we're excited to have you back and a new topic. And with that, I'll turn it over to you and your team.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And welcome back to all of you. I did receive a lot of comments and notes and LinkedIn messages and Instagram and Facebook. So continue to engage with us, and we are always here for you. So I want to take a moment and just kind of set the tone for how we'll make sure if you have questions, Q&A, by all means, put those in there. Coulter is looking at them, as well as Mary from my team and Marcia. Kim is in the background. She's loading the slides now, I believe. And she'll be sharing her screen in a moment. And if we ask a question or you have some chat, and not a Q&A, that can go into the chat box, all right? So with that, Kim, how are we doing on the slides? I don't see them. Does anybody else see them, or is it just me?
I can see them. I am presenting, so.
It says you're presenting?
Yep.
Can everybody else? I can't see them. Lynn, can you see them?
Not yet.
All right, hold on. We'll try it again.
I do know what I'm supposed to say, but it's always bad.
No, yeah.
Okay, all right. I think you're coming alive now. There we go. All right. So that is Kim in the corner, right top corner there, and she is behind the scenes right now. We will have her come out of that behind the scenes at the very end. But Kim is responsible for really managing all the trainers, working on content, learning development. So we're glad to have Kim there. Marcia, our other blonde, I think it's funny, we have the two blondes on the right and then the two brunettes. Marcia has been with us as a lead trainer, facilitator for many, many years, has a huge background in travel and hospitality. And so she'll be also here to answer questions and check the chat boxes as well as Q&A. Mary to the left is also a trainer that all of us were on before, and then myself, Cindy Novotny. And so together we are going to kind of make this all work. So we'll just start and get into the presentation today. So as I mentioned in our last call about our roles today, is that we are an entrepreneur, and our goal is that we have to make sure we are always figuring out how to get new business. I will tell you that this is not going to be the new normal of selling. What we're doing today is not necessarily what we'll be doing tomorrow. And you've got to be fluid. You've got to be able to kind of roll with the punches. But I will tell you that what this has done for us is it's given us the ability to connect and reconnect with a better story. And that's what the essence of our time together is about. It's about your selling. It's about your storytelling. It's about your engagement. And that is critical, because we know that this Zoom and Blue Jeans and all these different, platforms are absolutely becoming a way of life. So getting a client of yours to get on a Zoom call so that you can share pictures or show some things about a certain trip or a vacation rental, as Lynn just brought up, now is much easier. I mean, realtors are doing it, people selling design and decor, people that are selling art for people's homes. Everybody is comfortable today with Zoom or this type of platform. So your job is to really think about, how do I connect? So in the chat box, I really just want you to kind of type in the chat box, are you excited about your stories? I mean, do people often ask you to tell stories just in your personal life? Are you one of those that simply want to just present the details? So if you love storytelling, just write love, love, love. If you are one that, nah, I'm not that great at storytelling, put into the chat, not that great. Nobody at parties, I'm never the one that they call on. So we'll go to the next slide as, Marcia and Mary kind of take a look at that. And then, Marcia and Mary, you can just kind of interrupt me and say, we got a 50-50 split here or whatever it might be. So one of the things that I want you to know is, as a travel advisor, you have to be a storyteller, and you've got to really be good at it. You can't be bored with it. You can't be just sticking to the facts. This is where the destination is. This is how many rooms the resort has, or if it's a vacation rental, it's got 4 bedrooms. It's got, a kitchen, a this, a that. You have to be able to tell a story and create some emotion. Nobody just wants to hear the features of a ship or as I mentioned, a destination. They want to hear about experiences. They want to hear about experiences you've had there. And if you haven't had any, then talk to all of your colleagues that are travel advisors. Find out who has traveled here. What stories do you have to tell? Because that experience is going to be critical. So with that in mind, when you think about storytelling, and when people say, oh, I love listening to your stories, it's so much fun to hear you tell a story, it's because there's an emotional connection. People buy emotion. They have always bought emotion. They buy art on emotion. They buy clothes on emotion. They buy jewelry. They buy homes. I mean, especially I always talk to some of my friends in the real estate business. They don't just walk in. They've staged the house. They've got the brownies cooking in the oven. If they know that the people have kids, there's a game room with some toys. I mean, they are creating emotion. Well, that's your job. As a travel advisor, you have to get their attention, and you have to be very natural at bringing that passion out. When you do that, there is an emotional connection, and then they will become emotional as well. And when I say emotional, this is not sad or anything. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like, oh my gosh, but it is that connection that says, I want to be involved. I love to use this example because during the Olympics in Rio, and I think I might have mentioned to you that Mary and I were there during that whole, not the entire Olympics, but we were there for a good part of it. The ads that won the best coverage, that got the most hits, the most clout, were the ones that connected real people to real people. So you can see here the gymnast. You can see that she received a box from home, hello from home. You can see her looking at it. You can feel that emotion. They did a better job in promoting what they were trying to do versus some corporate, non-authentic ad campaign. And those were all tied, by the way, to a company. So when you think about it, the actual ad was not just her looking at her box she got from home, but it was tied to AT&T, or it was tied to FedEx, who sent the box. So instead of just advertising as FedEx, they connected it to that emotional feel, which is huge. So I always look at it this way. To know you is to love you. I mean, I don't even know all of you very well. I'm getting to know all of you pretty well. But to know you is to love you. And although I can't reach out and just give you a big bear hug, and I love bear hugs and I love to hug people, I will tell you right now that you and I both know that when you connect with people in telling a story or getting them excited, you are able to get them to trust you. People see phony right off the bat. I would never lie if I'd never been to a certain destination. I would never make that story up. But I would say I called, my friend Marcia as an example of, the gorilla's nest and One and Only in Rwanda. And I mean, I tell the story. I've got all the pictures because she sent them to me and I was putting them on her social media. I feel like I was there. I feel like I was brushing up against the gorillas, but I was never there. And I have told the story a whole bunch. And I've got people that have said, I want a book. I want to go to the One and Only Gorilla's Nest. I've said, oh my gosh, yes. But I tell it through Marcia's eyes. I tell it through her story. So I'm making people fall in love with the story. They're falling in love with the gorillas, and they're falling in love with the pictures I'm showing of Marcia. And I hate to use dating, but it's so funny because, right now I have more friends that are dating online because they can't, no one's really going, well, especially in California, they've just closed our bars again. But, I have a friend that I never in a million years would have thought she ever dated online, ever, okay? And her husband passed away several years ago, and, she's like in her 50s, and she said, oh, I met this wonderful guy. And I said, oh my gosh, where'd you meet him? I thought it was gonna be like at the grocery store or something. I met him online, and I've got to tell you, well, they've been, dating for 4 months now without ever like seeing each other face to face. And she said, but you know what I love most about him? His stories, and he talks about his kids, and he talks about this, and he loves sports. He's one of the she didn't talk about how he looked, where he worked. She talked about the stories. So think about it. To know you is to love you, is to trust you. And that's highly important. So yes, go ahead.
Denise. So we had a lot of people type into the chat box that they love, 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 and are really great stories, but storytellers. And we also had a lot of people say that I do need to improve. And it is a little bit difficult at times to talk about ourselves and talk about our stories. But we actually had a really good question from Lynn. And she said, is storytelling and selling travel experiences the same thing to you?
To me, Cindy.
Yes. Well, I think yes.
Yes, it is. Storytelling, I am selling travel all day long because I'm telling stories. I leave today to fly to Seattle, and I will be telling my story in social media all along the way. And by the way, it'll all be positive. I don't even care if maybe part of it isn't. I won't be showing that part. I'm authentic, but I will be showing the positive side of travel. So storytelling and selling go hand in hand. It's very difficult. And when we get to the sales process, because we do have a sales process to show you, the sales process would be very clunky, very robotic if you didn't bring in your personal story. So one of the first things I want you to write down as homework is that I want you to really create your personal story. And I want you to tell it to somebody. And after this, you can, email us, one of us, and tell it to us. And we've done this a lot with many of you on your LinkedIn profiles and things like that. But I want you to look at your story with a fresh look. I don't want you to look at your story in the middle of like stuff going on. I want you to look at it as I just got into travel. Why did I get into travel? What do I love about travel? A positive outlook. Use your own social media that we talked about last time to help paint those pictures. Everyone that's in sales should be a dreamer. I'm telling you right now, I could be selling wash machines. I could be selling paint, and I would create a story about it. Like, honestly, I just made up washing machines right now, but I'm just going to say the reason I would use that as a story is that I grew up in the Midwest with my parents had the same washer and dryer my entire life. Now they must be made so cheap, because now I've gone through in all my years of marriage about 5 different washers and dryers. And I would tell my story about how I actually I think back, I love my mom's washer and dryer. It's a story. If I was selling that, I would then connect it. So you have to have a real positive vision of the future. So make a note, and this of course is being recorded, but make a note about your story and make a note about how you're going to practice saying it. Now, the other thing, yes.
We have another question. So, and I think this is a really great question. And the individual said, how do you deal with people who interrupt when trying to tell a story?
I love that. So first of all, you've got to be very good at looking, and again, even on this, because I can see Mary and then I saw her go like that. So even when you are face to face, you can tell when someone has something to ask. We're going to show you in the presentation process that whenever you're telling the story, you need to engage them. So let's go back to my washing machine that I just made up randomly right now. I would say, how about your parents? Did they have the same washing machine? Now, if I was talking to Mary, I wouldn't ask that question because she's younger, but I'd ask, ask your mom and dad. That's what I'd say. Ask your mom and dad, did they have the same washing machine when they were growing up? So the more you ask questions during your sales pitch in your story, the more you draw them in, the more you get them to want to talk to you. And that is how you connect. But going back to what clients love you the most, I'm not asking about what clients spend the most. I want you to think about a list of all the clients that love you, that are enjoyable to work with you. What do you love about them? Do you love that they engage and laugh at your stories or talk to you a lot? What do you have in common with them? So when you look at those best clients, and it's not always the top value customer, because they're our best customers too, but some of them that are like our best can be some of the meanest people in the world, but we just have to deal, and that's all right. But talk about the people that really are emotionally connected. Find more customers like that you can continue to sell to and practice and listen to the storytelling. You'll be amazed at how you grow your business by finding those like-minded individuals. So we're going to take a look at the intentional way of selling, because there is a process to this, my friends. This is not about just random storytelling and hope you sell something in between. Every story has a reason. Every story has to have beginning, a middle, and an end that brings us to getting them to book something. So when you're presenting creative ideas and stories, you have to make sure you know about the customer. So on our last session, we talked about the probing process. Remember, the open-ended questions that get the customer talking about themselves. Do not just ask dates and how many people and who's traveling. No, open-ended questions. So the moment of truth arrives when you have, remember, the tip of the iceberg and what's below the surface. The tip of the iceberg, those very, very explicit needs are the travel mix, dates, how many people, what their budgets are. What's below the surface are those implied needs. We want to get out of the city. We want to get to a beach location. We don't want to be in a high-rise hotel. They're telling you where we want to have our areas for our kids to be out playing. Now your mind is going to a vacation rental. But before you jump in and start selling that, you're always asking, well, tell me a little bit more about the kids, the age, because games for 5 and 10-year-olds are different than games for 17 and 20-year-olds. So you're digging. If you do a good job on the probing process, the rest, not that hard. So let's take a look at how we go through the presentation process. First and foremost, when you are talking to a customer and you are asking all those open-ended questions, time is very important, okay? There's looky-loos, there's people that are just shopping around. Remember I said I take copious notes. I'm always writing in my journal, everything. And this isn't my journal of how I feel. This is my journal like today. I'm talking to, Mary Hannah, and I'm writing everything she's saying down about her vacation. I'm verifying that back. If you recall, I talked about that last time. So Mary, it looks like you've got, your family with your 2 kids, and you're going to have some friends join you, plus your mom and dad are going to join. So, I just want to review some of the things you said. I am taking notes, and I'm really deciding at that point what is best for her. But if I immediately say, so I've got a couple ideas, and I'd like to share those with you, okay? A lot of times they say, okay, great. Or sometimes, you know what? I've got to run. I've got another call. Can you send me this information? So immediately you have to verify back, because they're not allowing you to sell. If they allow you to start selling, you start selling. And we're going to get into that. So the way I verify this back is I say to Mary, so Mary, what I'm going to do right away, I'm going to send you a quick email, and so that you have all my contact information. And I'm just going to bullet down exactly what you said you're looking for as I put together some ideas and some options for you and this family vacation. Now, Mary, I want you also to read what I bullet, about what you're looking for. And if by chance I misunderstood anything or something else came up, just respond to me on the email and just jot down in red some of the comments based on what I said. Now, I want to stop right here for a moment before we move on. I know some of you are thinking, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. And I will increase your closing ratio significantly if you do this one step. See, when you actually listen to a customer and you take good notes and you immediately, I'm talking in 10 minutes, email them back. Thanks so much, Mary. I'm so excited to begin working on some ideas for you for this family vacation. I just wanted to, recap what you said you're looking for. If anything else pops up in your mind, or if I misunderstood anything, please just respond to me and make those changes in red. You will get emails back that quick that say, wow, first of all, you're the first person that listened to me. And they'll also say things like, the kids aren't 5 and 8, they're 5 and 10. Because, by the way, we misunderstand. Some people say, you can't even argue with the client. I have had people say to me, I didn't say that, they didn't say 10. And you want to go liar, liar, pants on fire, but you can't say liar, liar, pants on fire to the client. So we always have to be the one that says, oh, I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood. People make mistakes all the time. But by you quickly recapping that, you can put it into your CRM. You've got absolutely all the notes, and then you can work on the ideas that you're going to send them for this family vacation. Now, you don't have to do this every time. So as we move on to the rest of the presentation process, you'll see that this verification email, and we don't call it that to the client, by the way. We just say, I want to thank you. I've recapped. What it does is it bridges to the next step. So as we bridge to the next step, we are moving into selling. We are moving into the process of storytelling that does have a bit of a process to follow. So it doesn't matter what you're selling. You always sell features, adjectives, and benefits. Always. Now remember, features are what you're selling. Adjectives are great descriptive words. But the only thing anybody ever hears is what about me? What's in it for me? That's all they hear. Benefits, 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 right? And this house is going to be perfect for you because it has ample space for a game room for the kids where the adults can be over here playing cards or watching a movie. Notice for you. I didn't just say, and it's got this square foot, this, that, windows overlooking the lake, blah, blah, blah. See, the way you make a high impactful, very good presentation is to have energy and tell those stories. In addition, how you send your information. Do not send clunky information where they got a link to this, a link to this. We're going to show you how to put this into a one-page email that you can then send to the client. So now we're going to bridge and we're going to move into what really is a feature. So as I said earlier, a feature is the vacation rental. That's it. The vacation rental on Lake Michigan, okay? The adjective is that, now I'm going to describe it. How you drive down the road, it's in a gated community, you go through pine trees, you drive up to this big hill, I'm describing it, okay? I'm describing it overlooks Lake Michigan, the crystal blue waters of Lake Michigan. I then am going to go into the benefit. You said Safety and security were very top of mind. As I mentioned, this is a gated community and the house is gated. Therefore, you will feel very safe. Now, if they didn't bring up safety and security, I still might say that it's a gated community and it's a gated home, but I don't have to go into the big safety and security. I could still describe it. But I might then say, so it's going to give you a feel that this is your own home for the 2 weeks you're there. So features, adjectives, and benefits must always be linked together to sell the story. Another family that I just had at that home in early June, they told me what they love best is that they could go right out down on the dock. They were able to take their boat out to do jet skiing all right around there. There was a sandbar, so they felt safe because the waves weren't that big right by the cottage, and therefore it gave them the ability to really enjoy the water with their children. Notice I said another guest. I'm telling them about jet skiing. I'm telling them about a sandbar. I'm not telling them a sandbar because I'm into like geography or waterography or whatever that'd be. I'm telling it because it slowed the waves down. It made it easier for the little kids. So every single thing I'm selling, I'm really jazzing up my description so it comes into their mind's eye. What does it do for me? That's what people buy. Benefits. Let me give you another one. So I'm talking to a client who lives, let's say, in the northern part of the country, and it's been cold, it's not been that warm of a summer, and they just want to get away and they want to be in the sun. They want family fun in the sun. I ask a lot of questions, I dig in, I find out how many people in the family, I find out everything about them, but just for the case of this, it's really about family fun. So I say, you know what? The Sheraton Maui Resort and Spa is phenomenal, right? Now, I could go into how many rooms, what they need, a connecting room, a suite, a this, a that. It's, X amount of miles from the airport. There's X flights coming in. No. I describe it by saying, let me tell you a little bit about the Sheraton Maui and Spa. And I have been there. And the reason I love it is they invite families in. They're all about families. They're about adventure. When you check in, they do a little scavenger hunt. And they say to the kids, throughout the time you're here, look for this turtle, look for this, come back, take a picture of it with your parents' phone, bring it back, we'll stamp your card. They make it fun for the kids to get involved. Now, the other reason that it's so great is it's right there on the beach in Maui. So you have a lagoon style pool. So there is like an area that has some sand where the kids can go in and not have to be in the ocean. There is so much Hawaiian cultural activities, not just the typical luau's that you have, but a lot of the lei making and things that they can do. I think one of the things is that their beachside, s'more roasting. For years, people didn't even talk about s'mores. Now kids are loving it. And, they do a really cool job of getting everybody around the fire ring. And that world-class type of family activity is going to give you the fun you want with a lot of options, but most importantly, you couldn't be in a sunnier spot. See what I'm doing? I'm telling the story around something I've been there, so I said I've been there. If I hadn't been there, I might have pulled this off the website. But notice I didn't just say, Sheraton Maui Resort and Spa invites families to experience adventure, relaxation, and fun in the sun at Maui. You relax at a lagoon-style pool, taste island cuisine, learn Hawaiian culture activities. It would be like, wow, I could have read that myself. Notice I talked to them. I'm telling a story. I'm not making up stuff. I'm telling a story based on what they wanted to hear. So when you ask the right questions, it's much easier to be able to close that gap. Remember in the probing process that we sent you, and you've got a copy of that funnel, the word gap was in the middle. Remember the gap. The beginning of my conversation with Mary, I don't know her, she doesn't know me. The more I ask her questions, I find out what family fun means to her. We begin to close the gap. See, I want you right now to pretend that I'm a little parrot on your shoulder. I know you'll think, okay, she was fine for an hour, but honestly, I can't take her that long. But pretend I'm just a parrot. And every single time you hear yourself just mentioning a feature, how many rooms, the date, the suite, the square footage. Nobody cares about it. They're not buying it. They're just staying in it. You're talking about how many rooms. If you don't give adjectives and great stories, you're going to hear me go, so what? So what? So what? Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me what it means to me. Why do I care? So when you look at selling, and storytelling is selling, 90% is in the planning. 90%. See, if you spend all the time asking a bunch of questions, this becomes a walk in the park. It's so much easier to sell people something they want versus something you're trying to push on them. So if I know their needs, it's easier to paint the picture. 10% is in the pitch. Because if I'm pitching the right product, the right cruise, the right resort, the right vacation rental, I'm closing the gap and I'm painting that picture. And it makes it that much easier.
And
So the presentation, question, yes.
Yeah, so as you go through this presentation funnel, we had a question that this will be a great time to address from Sophia. And she said, when do you start the service fee discussion? And I think you can address this in this next part.
I will absolutely, because the service fee is actually a feature. I know not everybody thinks that is. They're like, I don't want to pay that much money and $42 for a resort fee and whatever, but I'll get to that, okay? So the presentation process is a funnel. We love funnels because funnels start up here and we always take it down to the end. So the probing funnel takes you down to bingo, I'm going to start selling. The presentation funnel takes you down to bingo, I'm going to ask which credit card they want to put this vacation rental on. So, and I will get to that question about the service fee for sure, because it's actually a feature, and I'll explain that to you. So you start out with the open, positive opening. You're then going to, and remember, if I'm on the phone, because if I'm on the phone with the client or I'm doing a Zoom call and I'm doing the probing process, I don't have to hang up and say, now I'm going to have to hang up, send you a verification email, and then call you back tomorrow. No, if the customer's in it and they're excited and they're loving that I'm asking these questions, I'm going to transition right over to selling. So the opening, I'm skipping that now because I already was positive and happy and, the opening early when I started asking them questions. But now I'm going to, instead of sending them that email to verify, I'm going to verbally verify. So I'm going to review their needs. Then I'm going to come down to all my fabs, my features, adjectives, and benefits. I'm going to link every one of those to their needs. And I'm going to go through this individually as well through the funnel. Once I go through the fabs, I have to summarize. Now, you'll notice over on the one side it says response probes. So remember the question came up, what do you do if somebody, they're interrupting you? They won't interrupt you if you ask enough response probes. So what's your thoughts on that? So can you picture that family out there on those jet skis doing their kind of contest? Let them interrupt you now because you've asked them a question. Once you summarize, you review. So we've talked about the home, we've talked about the activities, we've talked about the culture, we've talked about the sun. Is there any other things I've missed? And we're going to go into objection handling later. But if there's not, you're going to ask for the business. If there is, you're going to handle that. Now, one last feature is only if you go on and on about this vacation rental and get them so excited and they go, I don't really like that. So you can't make that a buzzkill, like at the party. You can't say, you don't? Wow, why didn't you tell me earlier when I told you I started on my story? I mean, that's not very nice. No, you just have to say, okay, I must have missed the boat. Tell me what you don't like about it. But sometimes it is some little thing. Well, only because we really wanted to be close to. So maybe my one last feature is, I might have forgot to tell you that this particular community has a shuttle that runs all the time from 7 in the morning until about 9 at night that can get kids to the tennis courts, get them down to where the beach is, and that's going to be able to help you. So it's that one last thing that maybe, I forgot, or it's the cherry on the sundae. Maybe there's something I can throw in. If we get this rented, the owner of the vacation rental said that they're going to give a pass to get into the fitness center, whatever it might be. There is a little cherry. Now, the follow-up, critical. You follow up when they say yes. You follow up when they say no. You follow up when they say maybe. We always follow up. Follow-up is how we build our business. Even if we don't book this gig, we'll book something else. This vacation, we'll book something else. So let's look at these individually, and I'll take you through that. So the opening. Just like I talked about the opening on our last call on the probing process. We've got to be happy, people. We're selling travel. We've got to be positive. We got to be in a good mood every day, all the time. You can get off the call and have a meltdown over there in the corner. While you're talking to a client, things are looking rosy, okay? So if you're doing Zoom calls, I want you to practice this, the smile, how your eye contact, how you're looking at them. But if you are just on the phone, on a conference call, make sure you're clear and you speak clearly. But this is that warm-up time. This is maybe I talked to them last week, and now were going to talk to their husband, and they were going to get back to me. This is our follow-up call. So I acknowledge, maybe I knew it was their birthday. Maybe I knew that they had taken their family to on a canoe trip. So I'm recapping that. Now, again, I don't want to confuse you. If you have done the probing process and you're on the same call, you're skipping this because you already had positive opening. But every single time you get on with a client, even your best return customers, do not skip this. We take people for granted, because you have no idea what's going on in their life. So as an example, if today's Kim's birthday, if I didn't know, Kim is my client, and if I didn't know it was her birthday and I didn't have it listed, and I just get on the phone and I just skip all the niceties and I go to, okay, Kim, so what I got figured out is this, this, and this. And she may say, oh, okay. And then I might say, oh, what's that in the background or something? Oh, well, today's my birthday. See, the warming up period, even though I know Kim, how's it going? What's happening? Anything exciting going on with you today? Oh, yeah, it's my birthday. Now we have something new to hang on to. So after you go through that positive opening, which is a couple, 2, 3, 5 minutes, you want to review the needs. So based on our conversation, I know it's going to be a family of 10. I know the kids range from about 5 to 18. I know your parents who are in their 70s are also going to be joining you. So, having a bedroom downstairs is going to be very important for them. And I know you want to be in a sunny location. And I know you want a lot of activity. So I'm really excited to share some of my ideas with you. Notice I recapped what they said that they said they needed. Please listen to me. This is so vitally important. Things change like this. While you're talking to the customer, somebody's texting them saying, oh, make sure you don't look at Maui. And you're just getting ready to talk about Maui. So you want to say, is there anything else I need? And then the customer can say, oh yeah, I just received a text from my husband. Don't talk about Maui. He doesn't want Maui. We went to Maui already a couple times. So now you got to quickly switch. It's your last chance to get any more information before you move into selling. So now let's look at those fabs and we'll talk about that service charge. Remember, so what? Now you're going to start selling. So you say, so I know you want to have a lot of activities for the kids. I know that your parents are going to want to spend more time at the vacation rental and they want kind of to be able to set out on the porch. So, and I'm just going to use the service one right now. I wouldn't start with that, by the way. Does everybody get that? I don't start with that. But after I've sold them on a bunch of other things, I'm not going to say, but there's a service charge. I'm going to say, now, one thing that's great about this particular vacation rental or this particular resort is their service fee of $45 a day includes all housekeeping. It includes all coffee in the room. It also includes all the activities that are on the resort property. So the fitness center, the pools. It doesn't include massages and it doesn't include things like that at the spa. But it also includes that shuttle I talked about that runs around the resort. Now, what that's going to do for you is allow you not to have to be getting out money every 5 minutes for these different things or having the kids have to charge to the room because much of that is included. For your parents, they can get up. It includes the bottled water in the room. They can make their coffee and before they decide to walk down to breakfast or they can, make breakfast in their room. But that's all included and that's going to make it much easier for you when you look at the overall bill. So don't back away, even though I guarantee you they will object. We're going to talk about objections later, okay? But don't back away like, well, and in addition, as I go through the policies, there will be a service charge. Create it as a story. You heard what I said. Now, if you're selling I'm going to go to corporate business travel because some of you do that. Like when we're traveling, I just want to take a moment on that because there are hotels that charge a service fee and there's like a corporate traveler who doesn't want any of that service. So the way you have to do that is you still tell the story. So this particular hotel has a service fee of this much. That does include tips for not food and beverage, but for bellman, doorman, anybody helping you with anything like that. It includes full use of concierge services, so they'll be able to print out things for your maps to get out to make your sales calls. It includes coffee in the room, newspaper, as well as access to the fitness center. So see what I'm doing? I'm switching it up because the good news is many of these hotels went away from the word resort fee and went to service fee because some city hotels, where they call themselves an urban resort, which if you're on business, you laugh out loud. So what they've done is they've changed it to a service fee, but you've got to sell it on what that service fee is. And you and I all know, depending on the value of a customer and your relationships and all the things you're doing, sometimes those service fees will be waived based on repeat guests, things like that. So whatever their need was, the feature, adjective, the benefit must come home to meet the needs.
And one more point on that too, Cindy. I think when you are talking about your own service fees or any fees that are attached to your business, just as Cindy just gave that example, you also got to be selling yourself and selling your services, that if there are cancellations, if there's issues, that you're going to be the one that's going to be really saving them the time. And it's actually, again, worth that price. And as Cindy said, we'll talk a little bit more about objection handling in the next webinar.
Yes.
So now we'll talk a little bit about the summary.
So I had a positive opening, energy, excited. I reviewed their needs, family of 10, all the things they want to do, kids ranging from 5 to this. I then sold all my features, adjectives, benefits. I told stories about jet ski racing and this and that for the older kids. And I told the lei making for the younger kids and on and on and on. I tell all my stories. I get them excited. I'm checking in. I mean, what do you think? You think the kids will like that? I'm checking in. I'm checking in. Now I have to summarize. So here's why I want to stop for a moment and say, if you ever took a presentation skill class in high school or at college, I know you learned that when you present, you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and you tell them what you told them. So listen to any public speaker out there, and they always say, today, I'm going to talk about A, B, and C in my speech. Then they go into, and A, ba, 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 B, boom, 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 C, ba, ba, ba. Then they come down to, so, my friends, we have covered A, B, and C. Does anybody have any questions? The same thing happens in selling. It's just not quite as, goofy as that. So now what you do is you say, so, Mary, we've talked about the accommodation for 10. We've talked about the bedroom downstairs for your parents. We've also talked about the activities for the kids, for the little ones to the older ones. We've talked about the access around the resort and the shuttle. Are there any questions you might have? Now you have to stop because this is when questions will come in. And it's okay. No matter what they ask, smiles on the face. This might be where they say, so that service fee, I don't even get it again. You brought it up, but so I have to pay like $45 a night when I'm spending, $1,000 a night on this suite. Why would I have to pay that? So we're going to work on that in a later webinar because there's a whole process you're going to use, but you have to handle all questions. This is where you're getting engaged. The more questions they ask, the more objections they throw. I'm telling you right now, the more interested they are. So after you summarize and you let them talk and take a moment of silence, don't think that if they don't answer immediately, there's no more. Just take a moment of silence. Now it's time to ask for the business. Keep in mind, we are salespeople. We are entrepreneurs. I don't sell, I don't make money. That's all there is to it. So every single time you present, you ask for the business. Every time. Even when they say to you, oh, I've got to check, with my husband, that's not a problem. You've still got to say, so are there questions your husband might have that I should answer for you right now? You're still closing. Now, the other thing is some people wait and close too late. If a customer shows a lot of interest in the middle of your fab, and you haven't even summarized yet, you're looking at your funnel thinking, I've got to follow my funnel. If they go, this is it, I love it, this is perfect. I'm not going to say, well, I've got to finish out my fabs, then I got to get to my summary. No, what you're going to do is say, okay, then let's start working on the paperwork. Do you want to put it on the credit card? Let's talk about that. Close whenever you need to, whenever it feels right. So don't feel like you've got to get through this whole process, but you have to be always thinking, how am I going to ask for this business? That is how you, with confidence, close. Always. Would you like to put it on American Express or Visa? Right? Which credit card would you like to put it on? So as you go through that close, you are beginning to see that you are now moving to either a commitment or a postponement, right? They may not be ready to close yet. That's okay, because my follow-up is going to be critical. Remember, one last feature is only if you need that, but my follow-up is going to be critical. So if they can't make a decision because they're going to go back and talk to their husband, you want to come up with a solid follow-up date. Okay, absolutely. So if I'm talking to Marcia says, I got to go back and talk to Ron. I'm going to say, absolutely not a problem. So is there anything Ron needs to know? Well, I forgot to ask about golf. You know, he's going to want to know about golf. He's about, oh, all right. I'm sorry. I didn't even bring up golf. I know, because I forgot to ask. So now I pivot back into the feature about the two 18-hole championship golf courses. I describe them and I bring the benefit using Ron's name. So make sure you share with Ron these two courses. The two Pro-Am tournaments were held there last year doing this, this, and this. See, you want to make sure when they say, I got to go back and check with somebody, is there anything that we didn't cover? Yeah, I realize I forgot he's looking at some golf resorts too. Oh, no, let me talk to you about this. Now, the other thing, yes, Marcia. Speaking of Marcia and Ron.
So Cindy, we had a question from Elizabeth. She said, since preparation is 90% of the pitch, how would you handle if you prepared to present the presentation or to present, say, for instance, the Sheraton Maui, and then when you called the client and said not, and the client said not Maui, love to hear how you would let them know when you do need to do a little more research.
Yes. Okay, that's beautiful.
Let's say you didn't, you had to kind of start your research from scratch again and you need to do another call or whatever it is.
Yeah, perfect. And it's okay because they're engaged. Because, I mean, people are funny, aren't they? They change their mind every 5.5 minutes. So if I talked to them, I did the probing, I said I'm going to put together, information on Hawaii for them, but maybe I hadn't asked the right questions. Is there a certain island that you want to avoid? Is there one you like? So now I'm thinking, from now on when I'm doing Hawaii, I'm definitely going to ask that question. So now I get ready to do my great presentation on the Sheraton Maui, and she says, my husband just texted me, he makes sure we don't look at Maui. I'm going to say, fair enough. I'm glad as we get into this, we knew that right off the bat. So then I'm going to go back into a mini probing. So now I'm going to go back in and say, all right, can I ask why not Maui? Just out of curiosity, open-ended, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Oh yeah, you know why? Because I just realized that's where we've gone the last 5 years. And I think the kids are over it. They're over Kaanapali. They're over it. Oh, okay. Do you have an island in mind? Notice I'm open-ending right now. I went right back to probing because the direction I was going didn't really go. I go right back to probing. Hence why you review the needs at the beginning. So you didn't go through your whole bloody pitch on Maui, and at the end they go, no, we don't want Maui. You're like, oh, you could have told me earlier, like 10, 15 minutes. So now they say, yeah, we'd like to look at the Big Island. We've never been to the Big Island. Then I'm going to start probing about the Big Island. Now I'm asking questions. I'm asking what they really want to look at. I may say, have you gone online? Have you looked at anything particular? No. Well, let's talk. Let me tell you a little bit about the Big Island, ask you a few more questions, and then I'll do my research on what hotels or vacation rentals or condos might be best suited for you and the kids. To see how you pivot, see the probing and the presentation funnel are right there hand in hand. And you just go right back into probing the moment it's like they took me way off my kilter, right? So hopefully that answers it. So when you think about follow-up, though, I want to come back to you do your whole pitch on Maui, and they liked it, but now they got to check back with us. You find out, oh, I forgot to bring in golf, whatever. Now this is where I'm telling you good from great is separated right here. The good salespeople and the good professionals, good travel advisors will say, okay, well, I'm very excited to talk to you. Just, I'll wait to hear from you. No. wait to hear from you. Are you kidding me? No. So now what you're going to say is absolutely. So I'll send more information on the golf, so you'll have some ideas to share with Ron. And then since today's Tuesday, how about we touch base on Friday? And if you want to get Ron on the phone as well, I can go over some of the other ideas I have for the golf courses. Would Friday work for a follow-up? And you'll hear him, you know what? We're going to be, actually, I forgot, we're going to go on a road trip on Friday. How about on Thursday? Absolutely. 10 o'clock, would 10 o'clock Pacific time work for you? Oh yeah, that'll be fine. All right, you know what? I'll send you an Outlook invite, and I will call you at 10 o'clock. Now, I promise you, when I say this to salespeople and travel advisors, I would never do that. I would never send an Outlook invite. Okay, don't. Fine. I do. It works. We close more business because I'm not playing phone tag all day long. And that is a fact. So when you get them, that shows the commitment as well. Because if they're just looky-loo, they're going to go now online, take all your ideas, try to book it direct, try to figure out how to do it on their own. No, the real customer is going to go, yep, absolutely. Okay? Phone appointments work. Yes, Marcia.
So we did, and you're kind of answering this question, but it came up that from Susan that she does a lot of things primarily, so much is done on email as opposed to phone. So just kind of, could you talk a little bit about responding via email versus, obviously, I think you've articulated how powerful it is when you can get people on the phone.
Yeah, so because of the time we're living in, people are jumping on calls way more. And this isn't going to go away. So I would tell you, even if this was last year, or even if this is in 5 years from now, the more you can connect this way or on a call where they hear your voice, they hear your excitement, the more you're going to close. And that's a fact. And I've got so many results to prove that. But if somebody doesn't want to, I'm still going to do the same process. So in my cover email, I'm going to be doing the positive opening. I'm going to bullet their needs. I'm going to go into each need. So in an email, I highlight the need. Kids activities for ages 5 to 18. Then I'm going to bullet all those fabs, and I'm going to show that. Links then in that email so they can look at the property. I'm then going to summarize. In the summary, I'm going to say, I'm not just going to attach, here you go, here's the rates, and I've looked at it, and this is what we can do. I'm still selling. It might be a 2-page email, but I'm still selling. Then the summary is going to be, I would love to have a call with you to be able to kind of finalize everything and make sure we get everything, confirmed that you're looking for. Would Wednesday work? Okay, I'm going to try. That's also going into my close because I'm going to try to ask for, there is limited space for those 2-bedroom suites, that sense of urgency that we know we have to do. And there is limited space because not all hotels have, or even vacation rentals for a family of 10 with all these different kind of requirements. So I am showing that. My follow-up is still the same. I'm following up saying, I'm so glad I was able to get all the information for you. I have tentatively held the suite or held the vacation rental, and I can hold that until whatever the policy is for wherever you're holding. Some give you 24-hour hold, some give you 3-day hold. It just depends. So I want to make sure we get this booked. So I would love to talk to you tomorrow about how we can finalize this. So yes, you can still do everything I'm talking about in an email. So yes, Marcia.
I was going to say, we do have another question, which is great. So during this presentation funnel, Cindy, when do you advise that rates for properties are presented or for resorts?
That is a fab. So as I'm going through everything, what I'm doing is I'm actually talking about it all. So the package for this particular vacation rental or the price for this suite is $1,250, right? That includes service charge, that includes tax, da-da-da-da-da. Now, that price is going to give you boom, 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 all the adjectives, access to this, that, on and on and on, which, if you think about it with 10 people, is really breaking down to $59 a person or something. You see what I mean? So I'm bringing the benefit back, but price is part of FABs. Price is right in there. I go with price and service charge and all of that. First, I sell their needs about all their excitement. I get them excited. I don't lead with price. I always then get them excited with, here's what you said you wanted. Here's the features, adjectives, benefits, come back to them. I go through all those and say, and the good news is this suite right now, over that period of time, they're offering a family special of boom. That's going to give you A, B, C, and D, which will be perfect with the budget that we talked about. Always. Good. So now you see the presentation funnel. The opening, chat it up, review their needs, go into your fabs that always meet the needs, summarize, close, always sometimes have like a cherry for the top of the sundae, but the follow-up is critical as you move forward. Don't forget to check in and use those response probes. How does it sound? Do you think Ron will like that golf? What do you think? So the presentation process allows you to sell with stories because it gives you a roadmap. Remember, your job is not to educate, it's to excite. It's to get them emotionally connected, to inspire and invite them to dream. It is all about that. You know, I also think that when you have your bullets down, it really helps you kind of get the story going. But when you tell a story around the facts, the bullets, it puts the whole brain to work. It gets people like, wow. So it's getting the analytical side and that emotional side, that creative side working together. Because when we hear a story, we experience it. I tell you, I have to sometimes remind myself I wasn't with the gorillas, right? Because, you know, my friends all know. Marcia knows. She's heard me tell a million stories, and all of a sudden I would be like, oh my gosh. And then they brushed right by me. I don't mean me. I mean Marcia. Because when I tell the story, people are like this. Oh my gosh. So you get them to experience it, and that's the best part. Stories also have to connect. I'm not going to tell somebody, if somebody's scared to death of animals, I'm not telling the gorilla story, okay? I'm telling the gorilla story to people that are really interested. My goal is always connecting what I'm selling to what they are interested in, relating, understanding. I'm just like you. You know, my husband's a huge golfer, all right? I don't like golf. I don't like it. It's like 5 hours. It's like a waste of time. I mean, I'd rather like go to the spa, lay by the pool. Do you think I ever tell that to people? I'm telling you just to be nice, okay? I train for some of the best golf resorts in the world. Pebble Beach, I've been training for 25 years. If you heard me, you would think that I am a scratch golfer. I mean, I just love it. And basically, I'm riding in the cart half the time. Now I do swing the club now and again. But I'm telling you, the stories just get more fun. I'm not lying. I'm really not a scratch golfer, and I never tell anybody I am. I talk about my husband, and I talk about the time when we're out there and how fun it is, and I'm not that great, but I do enjoy the scenery. You make it meaningful. Draw them in, and you share something that you are passionate about. I am extremely passionate about Pebble Beach. I love it. I love the whole feel of it, so I can sell that story. So remember, you can never get to success on your journey without rumbling a little with being vulnerable. You know, you got to practice this stuff. You know, I always say, go back to that one homework I gave you about your personal story. I want you to write down what you love. So take some destinations. What do you love? I can write what I love about something like golf. Okay. I love the quiet time when my husband and I are in the golf cart. I love that, right? I love that I do have a cute golf bag and I've got some clubs and I don't, you know, I get out and hit it once in a while. I love that he doesn't keep my score and I pick up the ball and just go over and drop it right by the hole and hit it in. Okay, I pretend it's mini golf, you know, when you're playing, you know, at one of the world-class golf courses. But I get excited. And when you practice these stories on your friends, on your family, even your clients, you will be able to enjoy this journey that much more. I promise you. So we're right at the 10 o'clock hour. Excellent. Are there any other questions that we can answer for you?
So we do have some more questions, Cindy. I don't know, Lynn, if you wanted to make some comments and then we can stay on after to finish answering all of these questions.
Yeah, I do think there was one specific question in regards to the service fee, because some of our advisors, you know, it's a planning fee. So before they even go into researching and proposing, you know, and kind of finding and you know, here's all the things that fit your needs and here's the hotel and here's the price, is they start that fee before they actually start even doing the research. So Cindy, in your funnel, if you could bring the funnel slide back up, where do they go through this whole process of presenting their services to the funnel first? And then once they get to close, yes, I agree to work with you, yes, I'll pay this fee.
then they go back through the presentation funnel again, specific to that destination?
No. So because I couldn't quite at the beginning. You said most of our advisors, say what you said about the service fee right there.
Yeah, so many of the advisors, they have a planning fee. So rather than putting it on the invoice after they've done all hours of research and finding the right fit, they charge this up front. So they have to get them to agree to anywhere from 50 to hundreds of dollars.
Okay, so that planning fee and service fee, totally two different things in my mind. Okay, so I will come back to the planning fee and I will talk about that. That planning fee, after you do the probing process, if you have a planning fee, because I get it, because you're not going to put all this work together and do all this so that they can take that and then just go book it direct. Totally get it. But I was talking about service fees for hotels. So just so we know. Now I'll go back to planning fee. Different story for me. Okay.
Right.
So you are an advisor. Like right off the bat, remember, you are not an agent. If you are transactional, I'm not paying for your fee. If I have to tell you everything I want to do and all you're doing is looking it up, I'm not paying 1 cent for a planning fee. If you're a full advisor, which you are, you deserve every bit of that consultative type of planning fee. But that has to come up early on. So as you're doing the probing process and asking a lot of questions, you then want to say, now, are you familiar? This is a probing question now, not into the presentation. The service fee for a hotel, a resort fee, that's in the presentation. A planning fee is in the probing process. Are you familiar with our planning fee for me to put all this together and send you a very thorough proposal and go through some of the different hotels or destinations? Ask them. All right, this is the only direct question I would ask. No, like, what do you mean by a planning fee? Well, what we do is we charge you ABC, and then, now I don't know, Lynn, does the planning fee always on top? Does the planning fee get given back to them if they book? What? Because some people do different things. So can you answer that for me?
Exactly. I think in the case of Sophia, who asked the question, it's a separate fee. So once they collect the fee, it's not a deposit towards the total trip. It's a planning consultation fee, and then they kind of go through it's their time, the research.
That's fine. That's fine. That is totally fine. That's like if you were a designer for a wedding doing an event, maybe some of you do those as well. The same thing applies. You're an advisor. You're a creative designer. You are putting together. This is all your brain power. This is all your time and research. So you'll say at that point, if they say, no, what do you mean? That's when right in the probing process, you're going to use a fab. Okay. But I don't want you waiting till the presentation of Maui and all that to then bring it up, because then you could have spent a waste of time. Okay. So what you do in that probing is you say, you ask the questions. You don't want to come off right off the bat. Oh, and by the way, if I do this for you, it's going to cost X, Y, Z for, how much it is. You ask all those questions, find out all about them, uncover all their needs, and then say, are you familiar with the planning fee for travel advisors and all of the creative work, that I'm going to do for you and what that is? No, I'm not. What does that mean? Or yes, I am. I've done it before, because some will be and some won't be. Well, my planning fee is this. That's the feature. Your adjective. Now sell me why you're worth it. Now you've got to describe. I'm going to spend X amount of hours. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all the research. I'm going to find that. I'm going to do all the planning, the follow-up, the this, the that, all the things that you're going to do. I'm going to do the family birthday party. I'm going to organize that. I'm going to have the flowers sent for your wife. I'm going to do boom, boom, boom. Give me all the so whats. The benefit comes right back to, so therefore the planning fee is going to alleviate all that time and frustration that you would have if I wasn't doing this. Does that make sense? Let's make sure it makes sense to the person that asked the question.
Yeah, so Sophia, we put it in the Q&A section. So for those that have specific questions, I know some people call it an intent to call it a retainer. Some people say it's a cancellation fee. So it all depends, and everyone's different, and the price point is different. Some people have actual forms or contracts they have their clients agree to. So everyone is a little bit different. So if you want to share in the chat or answer the questions in the Q&A section, everyone's different. And I think, the answer to your question from Cindy is that, you do need to get that confirm it front. So you don't want to wait until you've done the research and part of the funnel process.
And the reason I wouldn't use the word service fee at that is there's too many service fees at destinations and hotels and things like that. So I would use it as more of a consultant fee, advisory fee, a planning fee, a creative design fee, whatever you want to do, right? Because people are used, their wedding planners are doing it, florists are doing it. I mean, anybody that has the creative, mind power that has all that knowledge is doing that, because otherwise we give everything away and it's like, okay, thank you very much. So that it's very normal, but that's how you do it in the beginning, but use a fab statement. So every one of you listening that charge this, you need to write down my planning fee, okay? Or my consultant charge, whatever it is. I want you to bullet all the adjectives of what that includes. I take care of this and this and this, and I cover all headaches. I deal with all the contracts. I deal with this and this. The benefit is always going to be, you can come up with other benefits, but one is that's going to save you hours of time. So zero frustration because of all the little details that have to go into this. I'm going to take it. I'm going to be your personal concierge. I'm going to be handling this. I'm a lifestyle professional. I'm handling everything for you. So I'm an advisor. I'm not an agent. I'm an advisor. I'm going to let you know based on my experience that no, that isn't the right hotel for you. This is the right hotel for you. So make sure you create a fab statement. When I gave you the homework about your story, that's got to be a part of the pitch. Very important. And then you can brainstorm other ways to whatever you want to call it. But I wouldn't call it a service fee because that gets too confusing with what the hotels say, resort fee, service fee, things like that. So it is a planning fee. It is a consultant fee. It is a designer fee. You know what I mean? It's for your brain power is what it is. Okay? Other questions?
Perfect. So I'll just kind of go through some of these questions. So John had asked a little bit earlier. In our business with our TAs, we use the term consultative selling to relate, probe, etc. Do you see or believe there are differences between consultative selling and intentional selling, or would you consider them to be much the same?
Yeah, so this is consultative selling, okay? So consultative selling always comes with open-ended questions that you connect with what you're selling. We do that with intent. So the difference, consultative selling will always be the way to sell, always. I don't care how many bells and whistles and how many new terms people come up with, it'll always be consultative, the best selling. But we do it with intent. That's why the probing and the presentation, the client's never seeing that. That's kind of your behind the scenes, kind of like guideline roadmap, but it is consultative, 100%.
Great. So Lori asked, I have a client profile sheet for them to tell specifics of what they want for a vacation. My thinking is to send this to the person first, then have a phone conversation to use the funnel. And she kind of put a question mark, like, is that okay?
Yeah. So there's two. I work with a lot of agencies that I do their actual training for their own agencies, and I am all about sending something after I talk. I feel as though I want to try to get a connection, and much of that I could find out and I could be filling in, and it guides me through that. Now, if somebody doesn't want to talk, I'm going to say, absolutely no problem. I know how busy you are. I would love to just send you. I don't act like it's like I send this out to everybody, fill out this form. I say, I'm going to put together some questions so that I can get a good idea of your particular needs and preferences, and therefore it'll allow me to begin some of my research. But if you're doing, if you think about it, the planning fee, all these things we just talked about, really difficult to get some of that going when I'm getting this information. So I like those because we work with, in fact, we have a platform that with some of our agencies we're working with where that goes out even to attendees. And even when we're doing a huge event, we just did one right, I think in December of last year in Marrakesh. And the agency used our platform to send it out to every single guest. So we had all the profiles and everything in the system. So the hotel knew, the private jets knew, everybody knew. But I like to try to get a little emotion going. But it's great to have it and use it, and you just have to set it up right. Absolutely. Other question?
This kind of then leads into chasing down prospects. So Greg said, what's your strategy if the prospect won't commit to a specific time for a follow-up appointment?
Okay, so, and that happens. Now, no doesn't mean no to me, ever. No never means no. Maybe never means, until somebody says, don't you dare follow up with me one more time, or I'm going to call, like, the feds, okay? I'm going to keep following up. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to always check in. But if I talk to them once, there must have been some need. So I may say, it looks like you must have put this holiday on hold, or you've kind of decided to take a pause. So what I'll do is I'll release the tentative space I was holding, something like that. I'll follow up with you in a month or so just to see if your plans have changed, but really excited to continue to talk with you. When I do that, I tend to get an immediate, because this happens to us. Are you kidding? People try to ghost us. You're not going to ghost us, okay? Like, you just can't, you talk to me, so don't ghost me. But when I finally send that one, what I'll get is, oh, I'm so sorry. We've just been so busy, and we really, we decided we're going to wait on this until maybe December. And so, yeah. And then I just send, wonderful. I'll follow up with you, maybe around the second week of December, and I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, if anything pops up, I'm here for you. So if I get no response, I usually wait 2 to 3 months, because I don't call like daily. I don't make people crazy, but I don't just get rid of it until somebody says, you know what, we just financially can't afford to do anything for a while. So, maybe follow up with me next year. Fine, right?
We actually had another question too then about follow-up, of examples of wording to use in a follow-up email. So perhaps the client has committed to a verbal follow-up, but what are some wordings for follow-up emails?
Okay, so the verification email starts that process of getting them in your groove, because especially if you're charging planning fees, my friends, that verification email, that we have to do every day as a consultant. I'm telling you, when we're working with Lynn, we sent her a little recap. Here's what we thought, right, Lynn? Kind of bullet it out. This is critical, because that separates you from agent mentality to advisor mentality. And so if you start with that, there's always a follow-up on that. So now that I know what's important to you, I'm going to begin working on a proposal. Would Wednesday work for us to connect? So that's at the beginning after probing. Then let's go back to the presentation process. If now I've presented my, Sheraton Maui, got them all excited, now they got to go back and check with the husband, on and on. Then I'm going to say, dear Marcia, again, thanks so much. I'm sending an email. Thanks so much for the time today talking about the Westin Maui, it's Sheraton Maui. And, I get my, they're all part of the same group, so it's all fine. The Sheraton Maui. And I wanted to also make sure you have that information that you can share with Ron. So I'm tying it into the golf, so that he knows the 4 golf courses. There's 2 18 holes at the property, and then there's 4 others that are within a 10, 15 minute, drive from the resort. So what I would like to do is follow up with you on Friday, and then I ask, is there a good time on Friday for us to connect? And I put the ball in their court, right? I always ask that. Is there a good time on Friday? Now, if I don't hear back, I might send an email that says, how did Ron like the, golf? What's any questions that he might have? Again, remember, we're not top of mind every bloody day in everybody's mind. I can't quite believe it, but it's the truth. So, you have to be okay with not, well, I've emailed them twice and they don't like it. I'm going to email again. So have you decided on another spot? Is there someplace else I can look? No. Ron got called out of town. I haven't even had a chance to talk to him. So let's talk next week. And this is reality. So don't use like a form letter. Just be genuine. Because my follow-up's going to be different. I'm talking to Marcia about Ron and golf. To Mary, I'm going to talk about the jogging trails for her and John. Tim, I got to talk about how they can camp up where the gorillas were. And for Cindy, I'll be talking about the spa, right? So you tie it into all the different things when you're following up.
And really there was just one more, and Lynn kind of answered this in the chat box, but I think we kind of talked about this, but we could reiterate, is what if you don't have a story or an experience with the location? And Lynn had said, even if you haven't been to a location, your webinars or research can help you paint the picture once you know what your client's needs are. But I think, Cindy, you kind of already brought this up, that even though you haven't been to the Gorilla's Nest, even though you don't like to golf, we still have to get people excited about golfing, and we can use other stories from people that we know. But go ahead.
Exactly. And don't feel like a fake doing that, because you're not saying, oh, when I was at the Gorilla's Nest, no, Marcia, a good friend of mine, went to the Gorilla's Nest early this year, and I have never seen more magnificent pictures in my life. And let me show some of them to you because I have them. And this is what she said she loved best about it. But I'm telling a story. I'm not just saying, so you can go to the one and only at the Gorilla's Nest in Rwanda, and you can do a trek with the gorillas. Okay, any other questions? No, I got to get them excited because, by the way, it's expensive. It's not included. You don't get to walk randomly on your own with the gorillas, okay? I mean, this is expensive. And so you want to sell it, and you'll probably, I'm hoping you get commission on selling it and all these different things. But the idea is the storytelling, it doesn't have to be fake and phony. The storytelling can be, Classic Vacations. I'm part of Classic Vacations, and I just watched a webinar on that tour of a volcano or on that rainforest. And it just was amazing. Let me tell you a little bit about what they've said. So that's where our research has got to be a critical part of that planning. That's where we go and look and find out. And you've got a network here that you can reach out to and say, has anybody been to this place? I don't have any friends. I've never been there. I mean, there's places that pop up. The other day, I've been to Cambodia, and I love Cambodia, and somebody brought up something that was on one of ours, Mary, on Cambodia that we did, or maybe it was Marcia. I don't remember. Remember the boats, right? The boats, the cruises, because we don't call them cruises now. We call them floating hotels, the rivers. Yeah.
Expeditions.
Expeditions or river cruises, yeah.
Yes, river cruises, but we don't call them cruises anymore. We're calling them floating through the Cambodia River. Okay, now I've been to Cambodia, but I've never been on the river. And this person said to me, we're working with their organization. Well, what did you, because I said, I've been to Cambodia. I love Cambodia. And then they said, well, did you like that stop? I didn't say, oh yeah, I love that stop. No, I said, but I've never been on the cruise. I've only been to Cambodia, right? So it's okay to say what you know, but you're the advisor. You know where to go to find the information. That's the key.
I think those are all the questions. Marcia, did I miss any or anything else come in? Perhaps Lynn or Marcia, you saw?
I don't think so. I know that I think with the amount of questions that we did receive, I think it'll be great when we go to and address how to overcome objections in one of our future webinars. So I think that'll be really helpful for everyone that was on the webinar today.
Don't think we're just blowing that off. Don't worry about that. But it's too big to do that in a 1 hour webinar with presenting. So just to kind of make sure we're all recapped, we probe, we ask questions. We build our business. Remember, new business development, social media, reaching out, all the things that we did on new business development and the probing process. Always thinking about referrals, everyone we're talking to. Then we transition into presentation. And then it's the storytelling, and it's the passion, and it's how you connect the feature, describe it with all those adjectives, and the benefit always equals exactly what they're looking for. So even on your planning fee, they're looking for you to put together this incredible, 2-week holiday for them, okay? So positively, you can do this. You are the feature. Your planning fee is this, and what it includes are all those adjectives. But the benefit, Marcia, is that you and Ron, you just sit back, relax, and all you have to do is get your passport, your suitcase packed, and get on the plane. I do everything else. And that's the benefit. So that's what we just did. Now, there's always going to be objections. So I don't want you to think for 1 minute that I'm saying, it's going to be perfect when you tell them your planning fee. They go, I love that. I love paying money for everything. No, there are going to be those that go, what? You're going to charge me for this? So we're going to handle how to overcome that next time. Anything else?
I know there are a few questions that are sitting in there. So just Teresa, I know you mentioned there's some other questions about, fees and, sample documents. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. We've already gone over 20 minutes, so I'm going to head and stop the recording. But we will stay online for a little bit longer questions, and then we also do a very thorough webinar, a follow-up. So the email we send out will have some outstanding Q&A that we couldn't get to, and I also compile some of the chat comments. So again, the planning fee, some call it a design fee. So there's other ideas that you can take away from the chat that'll be in part of our follow-up email. And real quick, just to kind of touch base, just a quick classic plug is our BDMs and our reservation agents are also a fantastic resource. So if you haven't been to a hotel or haven't been to a destination, but you've already done the qualifying and probing questions to find your client's needs, they're going to be able to help you paint that picture. You can also reach out to the hotel sales managers. We have no problem in making those introductions. So feel free to lean on Classic Vacations, our resources, our expertise, to help you paint that picture and do the story selling for your clients, because part of that research, we are that same resource as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but feel free to stay on if you have additional questions, but I know most people have to move on. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week for Overcoming Objections.